Everyone can see the heart okay?
No.
Guys.
Push your way in there.
Okay, so here are the two ventricles right here. This is the left ventricle. This is the right ventricle. If you look at the walls of the ventricles, notice how the walls on the left side is much thicker than the right side. All right, and that has to do with the distance in which both are pumping. All right, the right side has to pump just right next door to the lungs. The left side has to pump everywhere else. Okay. All right. So now you can see, since we're looking on the left side, this is the mitral valve, all right, or the bicuspid valve. So here's one set of valves, and the other set is right here on this opposite side. But these heartstrings are called the chordae tendineae. All right. These valves allow for one-way flow of blood. So from the atria into the ventricles. So when pressure builds here in the ventricles, right, it's going to force these valves shut. And here's where you're going to hear your heart sound, right? So when you're listening to your heartbeat, or like when you're laying on your pillow trying to go to bed and you happen to lay on your ear, you can hear your heart beating, right? This is what you're hearing. You're hearing the opening and closing of these actual valves, okay? Because the pressure building up over here. Right. Now these chordae tendineae are attached to this muscle right here. This is called the papillary muscle. All right. You can see it right here. You can see it right over here on this side. And so what happens is when the ventricles contract, right, it's going to be under a lot of pressure, so it's going to force these valves shut, and the cords now will prevent the saloon door action. So normally what happens is when the pressure builds, these valves will shut, right? The papillary muscle contracts, it pulls on the cords to help prevent the valves from doing this. If your valve does that, you got a problem. Okay? All right, so now you no longer have this one-way flow of blood. So that's the function of the chordae tendineae and the papillary muscle.
The one-way flow of blood.
Yeah, it helps make sure that you have that one-way flow of blood.
What
So,
happens if
yes.
your valve is messed up? Like, does it just overflow, or?
If this valve is messed up, you're going to be very tired, depending on how messed up it is. What'll happen is you're going to have a lot of blood kind of starting to pool right here. So as soon as the heart contracts, it's going to push blood out, right? But some of the blood's going to go backwards back into the atria.
Oh.
Okay, so that can be a problem right there. Heart murmurs. Okay. All right, so here's what we're looking at right there on that side. Now on the right side, you'll see the same things again, except for you'll see three valves over here, or three flaps, I should say. That's the tricuspid valve. But on the right side, you'll also find one additional structure that you don't see on the left side. God, where'd you go? Oh, don't tell me I had to cut right through it. You think so? Oh no, here it is.
I'm just kidding.
This is why you can do simulated anatomy to be a doctor, right? Because everything is in the perfect spot, and everything is ideal. Because I remember we had a rat one time. There was only, notice how I showed you 3 branches coming off that rat? Normally that's what you see. This one rat had 1 branch coming off, and then when it branched off, and then it split off 4 different directions.
Mutant?
It's just different. So on the right side, you're going to come across this structure right here. All right, and the valve's in the way, but if I can see that right here, that is the moderator band. Okay, and you know one of the proposed functions of the moderator band is because the walls are a lot thinner, they're still under the same amount of pressure, so it helps to prevent that over distension once the pressure builds up. So that's what's speculated with the moderator band right there. Okay. So on the right side, between the right atrium and the right ventricle, is the tricuspid valve. All right. So you should see three little flaps right here. So here's a flap. Here's a flap right
wait.
here.
Wait.
Can you show the flaps one more time?
Oh yeah. So let's see if we can find a good one. So you can see this thing kind of flapping around right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's one of the flaps right there. But there's 3 of them. Okay. And again, they're going to have the chordae tendineae as well. Okay. And then you'll also see papillary muscles over there as well. All right. I do want to show you guys the semilunar valves, except for they're cut. I cut them perfect.
Yeah.
Too perfect. All right. All right. So normally what you see is, oh, here we go. Here's one that's still intact. All right. So there's 2 semilunar valves. Okay. The semilunar valves are between the ventricles and the large vessels coming out of the heart. And that's going to be the pulmonary trunk and the aorta. All right. So the second heart sound that you hear is the closing of these valves. Okay. And so when the heart contracts and pushes blood out, and when it relaxes, you get a little backflow of blood. That's because of the pressure difference now. All right. And then the blood catches right here. This is one of the semilunar valves. Okay. This is the aortic semilunar valve. All right. And then what you hear now is the closing of the semilunar valves. Right. So the one between the right ventricle and the pulmonary trunk is the pulmonary semilunar valve. The one between the left ventricle and the aorta is the aortic semilunar valve. And here you can see the actual flap right here with this. It's like a little catch.
So the first sound of the heart is the chordae tendineae.
Is the AV valves.
AV valves, and the second one is the semilunar.
Semilunars.
Okay.
All right. So collectively, so here you can see the this one of the mitral valves right here, or the bicuspid valves. All right. So together, the tricuspid and the bicuspid form the atrioventricular valves, or AV valves, and then you have the 2 aortic and pulmonary semilunar valves right there. Okay. That's the heart.